Workers from across the globe are celebrating World Day for Decent Work as they continue to demand better wages. In South Africa, this comes at a time when government is at loggerheads with public sector unions over salary increments. At the same time, Cosatu is caught up in a tripartite alliance squabble. For more on their reflections, let's speak to Cosatu's First Deputy President, that's Mike Shingange, who joins us now via our video link. Great to see you as always, sir. Thanks very much indeed for making time to chat to us. I wonder as a start how worried you are about today's turnout, given the level of criticism that the Federation has faced, even from within, for not doing enough to pressurize government in the interest of workers.
Good morning, Ayan, and good morning to your viewers. We not necessarily worried about today's turnout because if you judge by what we have done on the 24th of August this year, where indeed many people, including some within ourselves, were not giving us a chance in terms of the turnout. Today's turnout is it's not that worrying much because we are going to have more activities that we had on the 24th of August. We're going to have 40 marches across the country, more than what we had in 2 months ago. This is actually a follow-up in as far as the South African context of the International Decent Day of, Day of a Decent Work is concerned. It's a follow-up to the issues that we have submitted to the various employers, being government, the private sector, on the 24th of August. So we are very confident that much as it might not look like what we did, for instance, in the UN building, in Polokwane, in Bloemfontein on the 24th, but the fact that we're going to decentralize and have an activity in each and every small town in the country, for us that's already satisfactory.
Yeah. What kind of activities are these, typically speaking?
Like I've already said, we are highlighting the issues that global workers are faced with because this being an international day, we are pledging solidarity with one another across the world about the issues that are commonly meted out towards workers by the employers and government alike. But in this instance today, we are saying we have declared on the 24th of August that gone are the days that we are going to march, give a memorandum, and the employers keep quiet and not respond. We did say that should you not respond within the stipulated time, you are going to be faced with a rolling mass action. And this is a continuation of that. We are going back to those institutions and even more that we have given a memorandum in a month or two ago to actually demand our responses. Of course, we have added few, as you will know, that there's the issue of the global company called Massmart in this country that is basically closing down some of its accessories, including closing down some shops, including retrenching workers. We're now going back there to demonstrate on those. But the issue that we're going to be having a demonstration in each and every local in which Cosatu is found in this country.
Sure. Of course, the Day for Decent Work is a global commemoration, and the principle under which it happens is around this idea of wage justice, which I find very fascinating, by the way, because it's so elusive. In our context, here in South Africa, where the economic challenges are so glaring, what does wage justice to Cosatu look like?
Well, it's about wage justice, but not only that, about the working conditions in general of the workers across the sectors. It's about the protection of the vulnerable workers, which we call the vulnerable workers, for instance, in the farms, in the retail sectors, the respect of the labor laws that are supposed to be adhered to in these countries. You will know that one of the reasons why in South Africa there's still the wage inequalities, it is also based on gender inequalities, that you will find that the women in this country, as they work in some sectors, are not earning as much as their male counterparts are earning. You will find that South Africans who knows their labor law rights in this country are not being employed because some employers do not want to adhere to the labor laws of this country. They prefer the migrant workers who are desperate to find just work and get them just about any other salaries that they can get, and thereby subjecting themselves to exploitation. And we therefore call that not as a decent work, because as long as you're not adhering to the labor laws of this country and therefore meting out the minimum wage that is prescribed in this country, therefore that can't be decent work. We have got a lot of precarious jobs in this country, including the EPWPs, including the casualizations of many workers. Those, in our view, does not conform to the standards and norms of a decent work, where people cannot put aside a retirement or a provident fund or even a pension fund in order for them to earn a living whilst they do not work, simply because they are casualized, simply because they are not registered, where people can't have medical aid, where people can't have enough reserve money for them to transport themselves to go to work. Those are some of the demands that we are fighting for. But you will also know that South Africa is currently faced with a scourge of a gender-based violence. Yeah. And today we are highlighting as workers those issues, including the issue of the gender-based violence, to be respected in the workplace, because we do think that the violation of the women counterpart in the workplace, it happens a lot in those spaces where we work, and therefore we're highlighting those things as part of our demands today.
Yeah, today also happens to be, the first kind of mass action since Gwede was snubbed at that recent Congress that was held in Midrand by some workers, right? In fact, he came out after that to say that the alliance is possibly at its weakest. I wonder in what way you reckon that's going to affect the show of force today, in a context where we know that a big gripe for Cosatu has always been this microeconomic framework that was taken by government, which is largely led by the ANC, which is affecting workers.
Well, let's first indicate that our campaign, both on the 24th of August and today, is not only directed at government, because the people who are retrenched, the 2 million workers that are retrenched today as we speak, were not retrenched by government, but by the private sector. It is the private sector that did not live up to the Presidential Job Summit framework and agreement that they made when it happened in 2019. But of course, it is important to highlight that some of the boldness that the private sector is enjoying today is as a result of the way that was led by government, particularly the undermining of collective bargaining. You remember this matter, it's a public knowledge. Every employer in this country today is reneging, is undermining, is attacking collective bargaining simply because the ruling government has shown the way that it is possible, it is acceptable, even though it is against the law. Of course, it's not going to be about alliance, and indeed, it's a first, as you call it, the first public action after the leadership of the African National Congress was prevented from delivering a message of solidarity in the Cosatu Congress. But what happened in that Congress by workers is not detached from what is happening in society in general. South Africans are protesting everywhere else. South Africans are having shutdowns in townships, in the villages. They are closing down the highways because it's a society that is threatless. It's a society that is have reached a point of not turning back. And the workers are just but one element of the society and the community at large. So to isolate what happened at the Cosatu Congress, to be detached from what is happening every day through students' protests, through taxi drivers, through truck drivers, through communities protesting, is not to really be in sync with what is happening in the country at all.
I wonder what that means for what organized labor ought to do in that context. Mike Shingange, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. All the best with today. Really do appreciate your time. Mike Shingange, of course, is Cosatu's first Deputy President as they gear up for that mass action in commemoration or in celebrating the International Day for Decent Work.